Best Trading Presents, My Technical Indicators. Here is your host, Jeff Glass.
Hey everybody, in this video I'll be going over all of my technical indicators. In Thinkorswim, those are called studies. I have quite a few of them. I think there's about 12. I'll try to give as much detail as I can about them so you can understand what I'm using. They work well for me and I hope they will for you too. At the end of this video, there'll be a screenshot of all my technical indicators listed, what they are, and I'll leave that on my website as well, so you can write it down or take a screenshot and have that for yourself so you can copy them and put them on your own charts. So having said that, let's get started. Okay guys, here you have before you a stock JDZG. This is 2-day, 5-minute chart. And you'll notice I use color coding for my charts. The 5-minute chart is a dark green. So these dark green areas here are the actual market hours for the East Coast New York Stock Exchange, and the lighter colors are pre-market, then extended hours, then pre-market, and the other extended hours. Now this right here is February 13th, and this right here is February 14th. So this is Thursday and Friday of 2026. As you can see, it made a pretty good move from $1.40 down here the previous day all the way up to $4 right here. So that's pretty awesome. So it's almost $2. Anyway, let's take a quick overview of my technical indicators. You see this dotted red line? That is the low of the previous day. So looking here on the 14th, this dotted red line is the low of the previous day, which is the 13th. And you can see here's the low right here. And then the dotted green, is the high of the previous day. So on the 14th chart, which is right here, this dotted green line is the high of yesterday. And you go over to yesterday and you'll see there it is right there. So there's a real advantage to having the previous day's low and high on today's chart so that I can see when it's going to break the high of the previous day and go on up, or vice versa. It might break the low of the previous day and go down. So those are really handy to have. Now let's take a quick look at some of these other things, and then we'll go into a little more detail. This dotted gray line is the VWAP, volume weighted average price. So I use a dotted gray line, and then see my candles are green and red, and I fill in the red, but the green ones are hollow. If I zoom in a little bit on one of these, you'll be able to see this, for example, right here. So I actually have 4 other lines here. You can't really see the red one, but it's a whole moving average. And I'll get into that detail in a minute. But see, when the stock's price is going down and the candles are red, there is a red line right in there that's following it. Here, up here at the top here, you can see where it's green candles, but you see that red line? That's a whole moving average. I think it's a 6. We'll get into details later. And then when it goes up, it turns white. So it's easy for me to see. So when I see a little white dot like that right here, then I think, oh, that's about to turn up. But that's very important for me because just as you want to see the dips, which would be red, you also want to see the rises. And I make them white so they stand out. So see here I have 1 rise, 2 rise, 3 rise, 4 rises. See, on this decreasing price, I have 4 rises. Just like when you see the dips, the stock is going up and you see this dip and then up and then a dip, and the dips are red. So that helps me because I count the dips and I count the rises as well and determine when a stock might break through and start going up. So the next line I have is this dotted or dashed aqua line. See that right there, the aqua line. And I'll get into that. These are simple moving averages. This one is a hull. The red and white is a hull. And the hull on the Thinkorswim allows me to change the colors for a decrease or increase. Now the dashed aqua line is a simple moving average, and the dashed yellow line is a slightly larger simple moving average, and then the dashed purple line is also a slightly larger simple moving average. Now I have included in these simple moving average studies or technical indicators corresponding arrow underneath the candles. So when the price of the stock goes up and the candle goes up above the dashed yellow line, then a yellow candle will appear. And you can see that here and here. And then when the stock goes up above a dashed purple line, a purple arrow will appear. Now, I also have a lower chart. We're not going to get into that today, but I have corresponding purple arrows on my lower chart that match these arrows as well. So it's sort of like I have two purple arrows, one here and one on the lower chart, which we'll get to in another video. But we're just going to look at the technical indicators on the upper chart, the main chart, and get into those. Now, I want to briefly show you something here, and and that is these up here. I have a trend label. So this says downtrend, sideways. And that's because the current trend when this stock was over right here, because this is not a live chart, this is an image, this is going down. So it's going to give you the current trend, which is down, down, and sideways. And there's three of them, and I'll show them to you in the details. This is called minimum, medium, maximum, and they have to do with, short range, medium range, and long range. So in the long range, this is going sideways, even though right here in the medium and short range, it's going down. But in the long range, the overall view of the stock, it's going sideways. So those are very important. And then I have these two. Well, see there, I have an orange and a blue line and another blue line and another orange line. This is a trend line. It's an automatic trend line. It's the TTM-LRC, and it's a trend line, just like I said. And it creates channels. And you can see that the stock here is going down and up, down, up, down, up, down, in this channel between the two blue lines. In this case, it did not go below this blue line to the orange line or above. It just barely went above right here. Now right here at closing, you see it broke through the blue line and went all the way up to the orange line. That's because at closing, things get a little crazy. A lot of volume suddenly comes in, driving the price up. But you can see it didn't hold. Went right back down. So this is a really useful tool, having an automatic trend line, because it allows me to see when a stock starts going up, buying it usually isn't a problem. I mean, I can see the areas where I should buy, but when to sell might be a problem. So when these stocks go down and they hit those trend lines, especially the lower blue or the lower orange, then for the most part, the stock just bounces off those lines and starts going up, and they go up to the next blue line or the orange line. And at that point, if there's not a breakthrough, then it's time to sell, because they travel. The stock goes up and down within these trend lines. So you see, like this one, if it doesn't break through that orange line up there, then you better get out. So that's how I read these trend lines. That's how I use them. So they're really great. And, sometimes they're really big moves, like from orange to orange, big moves. But sometimes they're just blue to blue. And here, this is a downward trend, because you see these trend lines don't go through the whole day or 2 days. They're just, like in this case, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours. And you can adjust the length of these. But the more you adjust the length, the farther spread apart that channel gets. And then it almost renders it useless for day trading. Long-term trading might be helpful, but for day trading, you want a 2 or 3 hour set of trend lines, but you don't set them by the hour, you set them by the candles. For example, I think this is a 50 candle trend line. We'll take a look at the details here in a second. And I use different settings for different time frames. Now think about that. If this is a 5-minute candle, then each of these candles is 5 minutes, so that's a long time there. But so if I went down to a 2-minute time frame, it would take 2.5 candles to equal one of these 5-minute candles. So my setting for this trend line would have to be double what it is now. So if this is a 50, I set the trend line at 50 candles. And if I went to a 2-minute candle and I wanted to keep the same trend line going, I would have to have a 100 setting for these trend lines. I'd have to double them. Why? Because it would take twice as many candles to equal these candles. Does that make sense? So I do the same thing with my simple moving averages. I set them with certain parameters, a certain size, and then if I go to a lower time frame, the size of those simple moving averages is doubled. And if I go from a lower to a higher time frame, of course, they're cut in half. So that's how I do all of my studies, all of my sets and styles. So this is a 2-minute, 2-day, 5-minute chart. And this style is a 5 and 6-minute chart. I use it for both, and this is set on 5. And the style, and I use a dark green for that style. So when I'm trading, if I see dark green, then I know I'm a 5-minute chart. I don't have to read these little numbers because they're kind of hard to read. And so I say a dark green is a 5-minute chart. Now at the end, I'll show you a 2-minute chart, and it's dark blue. And of course, the 2-minute chart has twice as many candles, so they're crammed in here very tight. So I'm going to have to enlarge it so you can really see. So that's a quick, brief overview of these. You notice I don't have an arrow for this blue dashed line. See that? There is no blue arrow when the stock goes above the blue line. The reason is because if I did that, there would be blue arrows everywhere. And the only time the blue dashed simple moving average is really helpful is when a stock plunges very fast and then turns right around, starts going up again, because the blue line will be down there at the bottom, close to the bottom, indicating it's going up again. Whereas the yellow and the purple simple moving average here, they will still be way above the stock because it just hasn't had time to get down there because it's a bigger setting. In other words, the average of that line is determined by more candles. So the blue line is pretty much for a huge drop and then an immediate turnaround. It indicates to me that, hey, this is going to go up. And so that's how I use those. That's what I have. And you can tell, and these are especially helpful because when these labels turn green, when the stock is going up, like right here, these labels would be green. They'd say uptrend green. And this is such a big uptrend, they would all be green. But at first, when this starts rising right here, this first one would turn green, and these two would be sideways. Then when it rises a little bit more, the second one would turn green, and the last one would be sideways. Then when it rises even more, the third label would turn green. So, you know, this is useful to scale your buying. So you start off and you might buy 200 shares, and then when the second label turns green, you might buy 200 more. And when the third label turns green, you might buy 200 more. That gives you 600. It looks like it's really going to go up. Oh, I'll buy 400 more, and that gives me 1,000 shares for this big move. So that's how you can use it to scale. Scale in your buying. You can also use it to scale your selling because, you know, sometimes things start to go down, but then they turn around. Like this right here, back on the 13th. So see, you have this downturn. Well, you don't really want to bail out there. you're just panicking and emotionally deciding I better get out. Just hang on, seeing that it went up, and hey, it went down again. But why would I want to sell? Because look, it's above the previous day's high, the previous day's low. Why would I want to get out? It's gone up twice. And so, hey, it might go up again. And look, this doesn't look like it's going down. See this low and this low. Remember the phrase, higher lows? So this low is higher than this low. So it has higher lows, higher lows. The lows are getting higher. The highs are getting higher. So it's going up. So, of course, this is after hours. There's not a lot of volume, but you could still hang in there. And, if I had bought this right here, honestly, I would probably sell it right in here at the end of the evening hours, at 8 o'clock, because I really don't know if it's going to go up again tomorrow. And so I'm sort of the character where, make my trade, get in, I made some money, I'll get out. And the next day I could buy it again. So it depends on how much money you have, obviously. But so that's an overall view of my technical indicators. So let's bring up the next thing, and that is the detail of how you get to change these, change the settings on these things. Now here I'll show you right here. You see that little, I call it a beaker icon. If you click on that, this whole set of studies will come up and how you can choose the studies you want and adjust them. Now there's another beaker over here, and it actually says studies, but it also has a lot of other different things on it. This one is strictly studies. So I might add that, I use Heiken Ashi candles, and so they are sort of average prices. It's the best way to describe them. And so the indicator, the price bubble indicator that's over here on the right, see, there's my indicator. That's a bubble for the VWAP. So it's gray, it matches the dotted gray line. And this is a white bubble, and you see that line? Let me zoom in on that. You see that white line coming out? So that's because I have adjusted this indicator to show a line that's 2 hours long. And that way it goes out into the candles and gives me a better idea of where the price is going on these candles, because I can immediately see it went below the current price and then above and then below the current price. So that helps. Now, the reason I use that is because of the Heiken Ashi candles. On my Thinkorswim platform, if I click the selection to use the price bubble, and I'm using Heiken Ashi candles, the price bubble might be off by 4 or 5 cents because it uses more or less an average price. So I want it to see the current price, not an average price. So I unclick the price bubble that comes, with normal candles. So when I use Heiken Ashi, I have to make my own price bubble, which I have done, and it gives me the exact price. And the way I do that is I use a simple moving average of 1. So this is always the current price because it's an average of 1. And that's how I do it. And I make it white because I don't really want it to be red or green. If it's red or green, I found that I really can't read the numbers in that bubble. So I make it white so I can see what the price is. Of course, during market hours, your price is always going to be at the top of your chart, up in here somewhere. It's not on this image, but up here. Let's see, there it is. Bring it down. Whoops, sorry. See, there's the price, but that price only shows up during regular market hours, New York Stock Exchange hours, which is this dark green area. So if you're trading pre-market, that price never moves. It's going to be the close of yesterday. And the same way after hours. Once the market closes, this price up here never changes. It's the closing price of the day, and it doesn't change. So you have to have the bubble to keep track of the current price if you're trading pre-market or post-market, after hours. All right, now let me show you that if you click this icon right there, you get a pop-up chart with all the studies in it. Now, for some reason, if this was a live chart and I clicked that, I would see the pop-up chart, but you wouldn't on the video. I don't know why it does that, but I've tried it over and over, and the video doesn't show the pop-ups. So I have taken a picture of the pop-up screen, and we're going to go into that right now. Okay, guys, here's the pop-up screen for the studies. You can see, I think up here I have 11, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There is one more besides all of these right here, and that is the next one down is the VWAP, volume weighted average price, and I have a gray dotted line for that. So we're not going to get into that because this is not a live screen. This is an image, and so I cannot manipulate the image, scrolling down or anything like that. So let's go through these. As I said previously, the dotted green line and the dotted red line are the daily high and low of the previous day. And the way I get the previous day is this -1 right here. So it's not 0 would be today, so -1 would be back one day. And that's how I get that. Now I've made them dotted green and dotted red for obvious reasons. Red is low, green is high. But you can make them whatever color you want. Now, let's go to the next one. Daily SMA. This is my price ledger bubble that I made, custom made for me, and it's 2 hours so that I have a white line going over for 2 hours. So it is a SMA, simple moving average. It's 1, so meaning one candle. And so, and I've set it for 2 hours, so I have a white line going into my candles for the previous 2 hours. And I make it white because it's easy for me to read the price that's on the bubble. Then we have a simple trend channel filter, minimum, yes. Simple trend channel filter, normal, yes. And simple trend channel filter, maximum, yes. Now, when you pull up those studies to put them on your chart, it will be pretty obvious what the how you get the minimum, the normal, the maximum, and what the yes is for. So then you have the TTM-LRC, and it's set at 50. Now this is for a 5-minute chart. And I think all these other settings are automatic as far as these numbers go. And then I have no. I can't remember what those are for, but you can try yes and see what it does. I don't really need anything but the lines, so that's all I have. So let's get into my 4 lines that I talked about. I have that red and white line, which is a whole moving average, and this is set at 6 and close and 0. And I've made that red going down and white going up. Now I have a simple moving average, which is the aqua line, dashed aqua line, setting at close, 6, 0, and no. And then the simple moving average is a yellow, dashed yellow line, close, 12, 0, and yes. And then a simple moving average, which is the dashed purple line, which is close, 18, 0, and yes. Now, the way you get these studies is when you pull this up for the first time, it may have some studies up there, may not have any. But all your studies are listed over here on the left side. And you see right there, it says studies. You want to be sure that that's clicked on so that you get all the studies. Now you see the scrolling bar right there. You can go down, and they're in alphabetical order. So if you wanted to find the daily high and low, you simply scroll down till you get to the D's, and you would see the daily high and low listed right over here. You click on it, and when you click on it, this right here says add selected. That will light up. When it lights up, you click add selected, and that moves that study over here. To see, this is the list of studies here, and this is your added studies and strategies. So you've added this to your list of studies. These are the ones that will appear on your chart. So you add every one of those to the list by clicking on it and then clicking Add Selected. Now, if you make a mistake and you want to delete a study, once you have some studies up there, you can click on the one you want to delete, and a bar will appear down here that says Remove Selected, and you can click that and it will disappear. So the way you set these settings, for example, let's use this simple moving average, close 6. So the way you make it, a dashed line, an aqua color, and a setting of 6, and the no. The way you do that is you click on this star over here on the right. Another pop-up window will appear and allows you to change everything you want about that one study. And to change each one, you have to click on the corresponding star or gear icon matching each one of those, and then that pulls up a pop-up window where you can change all the settings, the colors, etc. That's especially important for the TTM. This is where I have the 2 orange lines that are spread way apart and the 2 blue lines that are closer together, and get that 50 setting. So you click on this right here and the pop-up window will come and you can make all those adjustments. Now I want to show you how that's done. I want to show you what that looks like. Very quickly, let's run through this pop-up screen of these technical indicators. I'm just going to show you 2. The first one is, as you can see, the color aqua down here. It's going to be the simple moving average, aqua color. So you look up here, and this is how you set all the parameters for your technical indicators that you want. So as the price is close, length is 6, displace 0, breakout signal, no. Be sure to check this show study box and uncheck all of these. Now down here, you can see it's a simple moving average, numerical, this wavy line here, and a medium dashed line, and the width is 2 because the 1 is just too small. And this is aqua color. Like I said, you can have any color you like, but I like to have bright colors. Be sure to check this show plot and uncheck the show bubble and show title. Don't need those. And it is the simple moving average with the yellow. So it's slightly larger. As you can see, this one is a 12. No displacement. Show breakout signals? Yes. Again, be sure to check the show study and uncheck all of these. Now you see down here, we're not over here on the SMA. We're gone to the signal because we want to show breakout signals. Yes. So we're going to click on up signal and set it to Boolean and up arrow at low. That means there will be an arrow pointing up, but it will be below the candles. That's what that means. Now I set the width as 3 on this one, and it's a bright yellow. Be sure to check the show plot and no bubble or no title. Now this one is a 3, and the aqua was a 2. There's no arrow on the aqua, remember. And the purple one will probably be a 5. Or it could be a 2 also, I forget. But anyway, what I try to do is I don't make them the same sizes, because in many cases you're going to have a yellow arrow and a purple arrow below the same candle. So I like to see that they're both there. So the one is behind the other. So like the purple will be behind it with the yellow on top. The purple will be larger and the yellow on top will be smaller, so that I can see the purple around the edges of the yellow, and I know that both arrows are showing up there. So, and when you're through with those parameters, setting up those things, you click this OK right there. Be sure to do that. Okay, I'm going back to this now. I'm going to blow it up, leave it on the screen for a little bit so anybody who wants to can copy it. Now be sure that after you set all of your technical indicators, you have them all listed here, and you've gone through the gear over here on the right to set all the parameters for it, all the settings and the colors and what you want, and you've got it all done. Click Save as Set, and then you will name this set of studies. Otherwise, you're going to have to keep doing that every time you open your account. So you don't want to do that. So save it as a set. And I called the 5-minute one, it's called 5 and 6. I have 4 settings and I have 4 styles. They are 1, 2, and then the second one is 3, 4, and the third one is 5, 6, and the fourth one is 7, 8. Now those are the time frames for each one. And I also, so my study sets are named after the time frames that they're used for. Because remember, I changed the parameters to fit certain time frames. Now also, after you save it as set, on your chart, you want to click the study icon. You want to load the study set. And then after you do that, you're going to want to save it as a style. Now, style is different than the set. The style will include your set, but the style also includes background colors, the colors of your candles, whether they're filled in or solid or hollow. What kind of candles are you using, like regular candles or Hikanashi candles? And it includes various other things like the lines of the background on your chart and grid lines and things like that. So you can set up your style. So you want to save the styles also. So I have my styles are the same as my sets. So I have four styles, and each style corresponds to the one of the 4 different sets I have. So that's how you set that all up. And there's the settings there. You can see them and copy them down for your own use. So these have really helped me. Be sure to watch all of my other videos about the charts and your technical indicators, such as the video called Trading Pressure. And then I'll have another video called Lower Charts. So be sure to watch those. Thanks for watching and happy trading.
Be sure to click on the logo to subscribe to Best Trading, then click on one of our other videos. Thank you for watching and happy trading.